For the few folks who actually watch. And I've had a few regulars, so I appreciate them jumping on, even the trolls, because hey, hate watching is still watching, which I've learned to appreciate. um, Yesterday I did a live stream, but I made it safe for kids, which automatically shut off the comment section. So I apologize for that because I didn't realize that when you make a vertical live stream that's kid friendly, it automatically shuts off the comments to prevent any inappropriate comments from coming through that minors could see. And I'm completely on board with that 150% because um, there are a lot of weirdos on YouTube and other social media spaces, and no reason to ruin the kids' experience because some adult can't get their shit together. Uh, but for those who didn't watch yesterday, that kid friendly vertical live stream was actually about college, and specifically, it was about not letting content creators dissuade folks, particularly younger folks, from going on to college because of all of their own predilections about college right now. And for the nuts, I basically said that there's a lot of red pill content creators and manosphere content creators who dissuade young people, particularly men, from going on to college either because they don't like the politics of of higher education, or they want to gatekeep higher education for uh, a minute population of folks, which is out of their own self interest, obviously. Um, or there's some that do it because they don't think college is particularly rewarding for men anymore. Or the worst of them, I said, of the four was for people who, and hello, Mert, how are you? And the last was for people in the manosphere, particularly the black manosphere, who don't like it because of reasons. But I spelled it all out in that previous live stream, so it is posted. You can go check that out. I don't want to rehash all of that here. Oh, that's good. That's good. What part of the world are you in? So this is gonna be a ask me anything sort of forum again. But I'm gonna concentrate more on talking about martial arts, but you guys can ask me anything. But I just want to talk about martial arts, particularly, and Star Wars. If you can't hear, I'm slightly playing it in the background. I hope it doesn't get this live stream restricted. If so, so be it. I'll have to take it down because I am very close to being monetized now. It wasn't actually a particular goal of mine to be monetized, but since I'm so close to it, why not do it? And I also said that if I do get monetized, I'll start showing Mrs. Contrarian in some videos of mine because she is in a few videos, but she's not front and center within the videos. And even the videos that are just all about her, she's not like in the screen like I am in the screen here. Um, what are my thoughts on Kung Fu? Depends on what you mean, because Kung Fu is such a wide breadth of Chinese martial arts, right? Like literally any Chinese martial art can be Kung Fu. And actually, the word traditionally just meant a learned skill, but then it became particularly known for traditional Chinese martial arts. I've know some Kung Fu. Being that I practice Jeet Kune Do, we have learned like elements of Wing Chun Kung Fu as part of uh, the base of Jeet Kune Do. So I don't have any bad thoughts about it as far as how realistic it can be in self defense or in competition. That's another story. um, I think it can be applied in street defense and competition if you train it that way, which means you're applying it in sparring and and sports combat to make it actually effective. And we've seen some kung fu done just that. That was the rise of Sanda. Sanda, or it used to be called Sanshu, is Chinese kickboxing. It takes elements of Chinese kung fu or wushu and like Thai boxing, Western boxing, and make it a competitive martial art that's practiced by members of the Chinese military. And now it's a full combat sport since the 90s. Thanks for subscribing, Keelan. How are you doing? Saban Green asked me what martial art am I into. So the first martial art I've taken was judo when I was 7 years old. It was not a choice. I've said this in multiple videos. So as a kid, my parents said I had to learn martial arts and I had to learn how to swim, but they gave me the choice of which martial arts to take. And it was at a YMCA, so there was only two selections, either judo or karate. So I took judo, thinking judo would be easier. Judo was actually tougher, but I did enjoy it. Later on, I ended up taking taekwondo, although it was called Kim's Karate at the time, which was a big franchise here in Maryland throughout the 80s and 90s. Ended up taking taekwondo, and then I started doing some independent studying through friends and just doing research at the library, stuff like that. Until I ended up getting into Jeet Kune Do for a little bit. And in my Jeet Kune Do class, there was not just Jeet Kune Do that you can learn, but there was a bunch of stuff. So we got to also practice um, wrestling, particularly like catch wrestling, judo, um, and traditional jiu-jitsu, boxing, Filipino martial arts, and Thai boxing, Savat. So that has been my base since then. I've gone on to actually explore several of those styles overseas where those styles originated. So like Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and I'm still doing that as well now. Sabin Green says, "Would a jiu-jitsu black belt beat a kung fu black belt?" So I know people hate this answer, but it's the truth. It depends, right? So first of all, let's establish what sort of jiu-jitsu we're talking about. Are we talking about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or are we talking about traditional jiu-jitsu? Because those are completely different. And I've been on rants before saying why I think Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a misnomer, because it's not actually jiu-jitsu. It's a form of judo, of Kodokan judo, that that took the portion of it called newaza, or ground fighting, and just made that the base of the entire art. Whereas traditional jiu-jitsu is a complete fighting system with strikes, kicks, throws, takedowns, and submission fighting. But Brazilian jiu-jitsu just concentrates on the submission fighting, and then gives you a little bit of throws and takedowns. So kung fu, also, traditionally there's no black belt in kung fu. Black belt comes from Japan and specifically originated in judo, and then it came to be used in all Japanese and karate. I mean, all Japanese and Korean systems. But traditionally, there's no black belt in kung fu, which is why I laughed at my dad when he told me he had a black belt in Tai Chi. I'm like, yeah, okay. um, but as far as whom would be the most effective, again, it depends, because it's going to depend on the individual practitioners. But if you're talking about on average which would be the more effective art between the two, then of course it would be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because the art comes out of competition, whereas in Kung Fu they don't compete except in like forms and weapons, which is like their wushu competitions. But traditional Kung Fu doesn't have like sparring. Now some individual schools do spar, but I'm talking about as a collective. They're not known for sparring and like um, full contact competition. So, I if we're talking about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu against traditional kung fu, I'm going to give it to the Brazilian jiu-jitsu person. If we're talking about Sanda, then that's a different story. Would you tell a weed farmer you need grow? I don't understand that, Ivan. Sorry. You look like a cop. I, I don't. I take that as a compliment. Obviously, I have a straight edge look on purpose because people underestimate the person who looks straight edge and innocent. That's all I'll say about that. Simon Green says, "Yeah, BJJ." Okay, so yeah, so I hope you understood what I was saying, right? That on average, yeah, the BJJ practitioner is going to be way more effective than most kung fu practitioners. Not just kung fu practitioners. Like BJJ black belt is going to be uh, more effective than just about any striker. Period, because BJJ is that effective. So. Tanisha says she looks like Kai, but no hair as. I'm sorry, I don't get that, Tanisha, but thanks for joining in on the chat. If you can elaborate, I, that'd be appreciated because I don't know what you're talking about. Master said, hey, brother, what's a good defense style for me when I'm a white guy and I drop the N word in public all the time? People try to beat me up. I have Tourette's. Oh, so first of all, Um, so I know a little bit about Tourette syndrome, but not a lot, since I have a background in psychological science, and linguistics. I was a triple major, actually, psychology, philosophy, and linguistics. First of all, I would say you might need to get us go to a speech pathologist if you haven't already, like either a behavioral therapist or a speech pathologist to kind of deal with that because that could be bad, particularly where you live. Like you don't want to run around Harlem or Baltimore or North Philly, uh, just flying off the handle saying that. Even though I know it can be beyond your control, I completely understand that. So the first thing I would say is try to, before we even look at the self-defense aspects, let's look at your health aspects, okay? Try to find a good speech pathologist or behavioral therapist that can help you with that, okay? Now, when it comes to self-defense, I think every I think every man should learn self-defense anyway, regardless of their situation. Um, and when it comes to good defense, I mean, we basically any of the modern combat sports are going to be good for self-defense. Boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, um, collegiate wrestling. Uh, there's others, but those those are your main ones that you know will be effective generally anywhere. But again, I would beseech you to first try to be able to control the Tourette syndrome so that you don't get into situations. So, like I said, see if you can find a good speech pathologist or behavioral therapist that can be covered under your medical care if you have it, or if not, you can probably wherever in your state they have state medical care that you can utilize. Okay. Tanisha says, "I'm a boy." Okay, I wasn't asking you what your gender was. I was just saying I didn't understand your comment when you said she looks like Kai, but no hair as F. So I didn't understand what you were saying. Okay. Zed says I have an elongated spine. So here's another thing. So for folks who have disabilities, you can still do martial arts. There is a guy within my Jikundo group, the Janfen Jikundo Grappling Association, founded by the late Shifu Larry Hartzell. He was one of Bruce Lee's original students, but he ended up getting certified under Guru-den Inasanto, which was one of Bruce's senior students and who led his school when Bruce went off to Hong Kong to pursue his movie career there. Um, when Bruce passed, uh, Guru Dan took over took over the schools, and he certified people under Jeet Kune Do. One of those being Larry Hartzell, and when he had his own Jeet Kune Do school, he kind of um, focused it on grappling. And this is in the 70s, so this is way before Brazilian Jiu Jitsu became a thing here in America. Because back in the up until like the mid to late 90s, really the only place you could find Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is if you actually went down to Brazil. So back then, Larry Hartzell had a focus on wrestling, particularly catch wrestling, or it's called catch can wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, as well as judo. Okay, and he has he there's a instructor there, not directly under Sifu Harcel, but one of his other students, the father of this guy, and the son, he himself has a disability, but he teaches and he shows other folks with disabilities how they can still utilize their defensive capabilities even with a disability. So I would say, even if you're even if you're living with a disability, you can still learn martial arts. You just need to know what type of martial art can suit you with your particular limitations, and if and to find a school that can actually teach you with those limitations. So I would definitely look into different schools and just let them know, hey, I'm a person with disabilities, but I really still want to learn martial arts. Do you think I can do this? I'm guaranteed one of them will probably be Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. You may not be able to do something hardcore like Muay Thai, but you can probably do something like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So look into that, Zed. Sabine, and I hope I'm saying this right. I hope I'm saying your name right, Sabine. So awesome. I didn't know about that, about traditional jiu-jitsu. I have to go now. I'm subscribed. Thanks for subscribing. And you're cool. You seem wise. Thank you. I try to be. I make no pretensions to be such, but if I can help folks. Yeah, so traditional jiu-jitsu, it's also sometimes called taijitsu. Taijitsu is just like a title for just about any traditional Japanese art. It might be called taijitsu, but jiu-jitsu was literally the art that samurais use for their hand-to-hand combat. And this is why I sometimes laugh at people who say martial arts don't work. And I'll be like, brother, if martial arts doesn't work, why do they still teach it to us in the military and in law enforcement? The reason being is that even in the 21st century Army, 21st century Marines, 21st century Air Force, 21st century Coast Guard, 21st century Navy, 21st century Space Force, we're still taught hand-to-hand combat, because in actual combat you're sometimes going to find yourself in a confined space, and you need to know close quarters combat in confined spaces. And jiu-jitsu was one of those sorts of arts for the samurai and their foot soldiers, the ashigaru, that they needed to know when in confined spaces, because samurai, despite what you may see on a lot of these old um, Japanese films like Shogun, and which is an awesome TV show, by the way, or some of these other movies like The Last Samurai and all these other things, most samurai weren't fighting with swords. A sword was sort of your last result, but samurai traditionally fought from long distances. They preferred spears, bows, and even rifles. So unlike The Last Samurai, where they were shunning using rifles, no, they samurai did not shun rifles in real life. If they can have the edge by firing at you from a distance, that's what they preferred. Even the female warriors, who have been sometimes mislabeled as female samurai, there are no female samurai, but they're sometimes called the the Bugeisha, or what was it? No, Ani, the Ani Musha or Ani Bugeisha. They're typically taught how to use a naginata, which is like a long halberd, and they're also given some samurai. I'm sorry, some jujitsu instruction. So that's where jujitsu arises from, and over time it's been supplanted by more modern arts like judo and aikido and karate, which came from Okinawa, the birthplace of karate, like the karate nerd Jesse Ancamp always says. But it's a cool art. I don't know about its effectiveness because it's a very old school type martial art. But if you're just learning it as an enthusiast, it'd be well worth doing. Not every martial art you take has to be because it's effective on the street. It can be just something that you are genuinely interested in learning. Massive. So you asked me the question before. You said, "Hey, what's a good defense for me?" Because you have Tourette syndrome and you might drop the N word sometimes. So I thought I answered that, but like again, I said first look into um, treating your Tourette syndrome through finding a good speech pathologist or behavioral therapist. Then I said as good defense, I said generally any of the modern combat sports, Western boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and collegiate wrestling. Actually, the best form of wrestling is the one that we all learned. Well, if you're from the United States, I don't know if you are, but for folks in the United States, we learned one of the best martial arts in middle school and high school, which was wrestling. But the type of wrestling we learned in middle school and high school is called um, American um, American folk wrestling or freestyle wrestling. Greco-Roman wrestling and collegiate wrestling are both similar to it, but they're not the same. But that type of wrestling we've learned in middle school and high school is one of the most effective forms of self-defense. But most of us didn't think about it beyond gym or beyond PE class. That's about it, which is a shame because it's actually a very effective art. Dizzy says I also have Tourette's, but I just that's inappropriate, and that's exactly why yesterday, Dizzy, why I did a kid friendly live stream because I didn't want jokers like you coming on the stream and saying stuff like that. That's control yourself. Oh, you live in Chicago? Okay, I'm originally from Chicago. Well, Cook County, so not Chicago City proper, but um, I lived in Cook County in University Park and Park Forest, or Crete, if you're familiar with Crete, Illinois, um, where Lincoln Mall used to be. I heard the Lincoln Mall was shut down now, or it's like a ghost mall. Uh, but yeah, that's where I used to live as a kid before I moved uh, back to the East Coast. And Chicago is very violent. I would also probably look into doing some firearm training. Find a qualified, licensed firearm instructor, and maybe look into getting a handgun permit so that you can be able to defend yourself that way. Because I think self defense is both not just hand to hand, but also firearm instruction too. I don't think you are capable in self defense if you don't also utilize weapons. But self defense is a wide breadth of things, not just hand to hand combat. So you might want to look into that as well. Because if you live in Chicago City, the actual city, you probably need firearms. Scammer Skull said, "What's up, Roach?" Is that supposed to be the turn from the guy on the old TV show, or you just insulting me? I don't get it. Thanks, Icy. He says, "Seem like a good dude. Appreciate what you do." Thanks, I appreciate it. So again, guys, you can ask me any question today, but again, my focus is martial arts, so if we can keep it to that, that'd be great. Um, and also, like I said, if you want to ask me things about Star Wars related type stuff, um, we can do that too, because it was just, Star Wars Day a few days ago, and I didn't get to do all the Star Wars content I planned on doing because I was out that whole day because it was also a free comic book day, so I was around the comic book stores and stuff. I think someone way up in the stream asked me about the Kendrick versus Lamar thing, or I know someone said Kendrick is king. They're both alright. Like, they're alright. I mean, I like Kendrick first album, but I really, and what he did with the Black Panther album. But other than that, I don't really listen to him like that. Drake, I have I've listened to more of his songs because I can work out to more of his songs. Because really, the only time I listen to hip hop nowadays is when I'm working out. So usually I want something this you know has a hook to it, has a good hook to it. But as a lyricist, I don't give Drake that much credit, especially when he has ghostwriters. Sorry. Sabine asked me long time ago up in the stream. I'm just catching some of these guys. Do I eat ketchup? If you mean on food, yes, not by itself. Oh, and Mert said he's from Turkey. Okay, what's up? Um, so anyway, I'm gonna come stroll back down to where we are currently. Um, and Dizzy's just tripping with what he's saying up here in here, so I'm gonna ignore that till he says something that's more um, appropriate. Sabine asks, wait, before I go, I need to know, do you think Tai Chi is a real martial art? Yeah, it's a real martial art. So again, all right, so I want to dispel this notion that's been going on in the martial arts community for like the last almost 20 years now, between what's a real martial art and a fake martial art. Just because a martial art is not effective does not make it a fake martial art. And I get tired of people saying that. Like, again, my father does Tai Chi. I don't think it I don't think it's a bit fucking effective. Excuse my French. And pardonnez my français. But that doesn't make it a fake martial art. If we're talking about what's an effective martial art versus a non-effective martial art, then yes, Tai Chi is definitely a genuine martial art. It's been around for hundreds of years. Um, the problem is you have two forms of, you have one that's basically just for exercise, like you'll see people doing, like when I went to Taiwan, bright and early in the morning, it was like a whole bunch of people out in the park just doing Tai Chi. So you have that element of it. Then you have the more combative form of it. And still, the combative form of it is still not effective because it's divorced from uh, the practical applications of fighting. The funny thing is, regardless of what martial art or combat sport, any martial art that, so any striking art that is can be applicable in competition and in sparring starts to look like kickboxing. Any grappling art which is applicable in competition and in rolling is going to look like wrestling. So there you go. And again, like I said, not, you don't have to, if it depends on what your goals of martial arts. If you just want to learn something because of uh, for its for its beauty, for its aesthetics, or you want to learn it because of the culture and traditions behind it, then by all means do it. That doesn't make it a fake martial art, especially when it has hundreds of years of tradition and culture behind it. It's definitely a genuine martial art. But if you want to learn something that's effective, then you want to concentrate on modern combat sports. Modern combat sports are what's going to teach you what's effective in this current time. Like learning something from hundreds of years ago that people think is now too deadly to use in sparring because you might hurt the person or this or that is a pretty good sign that it won't be useful. But again, utility is not does not equal the genuineness of the art. So I hope that answers your question. If you want to learn Tai Chi, by all means, go ahead and do it. Just don't think that that's going to be something that's going to be effective for you on the street. You can do Tai Chi and then also practice like Sanda, which is Chinese kickboxing, which is pretty pretty useful. Hassan says, "What's up? Hey, what's up, Hassan?" And Dizzy, you're gonna get banned, buddy. Like, I don't think it's cool talking about kids and stuff like that. You need to you need to chill. Like, Edward Hurley says, I'm in Chicago too. That's what's up. I constantly get these oil up things, which is mad Diddy. I'm not doing that, so chill on the oil up. And why would someone oil up for a live stream? I don't understand why trolls say something like that. Natasha says, right, is it Natasha girl or Natasha guy? Because I've been getting some folks who are, whatever. But I don't discriminate. I do like Naruto. I still haven't watched um, all of what's the second part of Naruto? The when they're grown. I haven't. I still need to catch up on that. I'm up to the point where Sasuke and his brother fight, and he kills his brother. Well, his brother lets him win. Let's be honest. Sasuke's what's his, I forgot his brother's name, but uh, um, anyway, he let Sasuke win. So that's where I'm at currently in Naruto. So yeah, I have to catch up on it. But after they merged Disney Plus and Hulu, I literally have so much anime to watch, and I just don't have time to see it all. Like, there's all the stuff on the Disney Plus Hulu app. Then there's Crunchyroll, and then there's all the Netflix anime. So it's just a lot to watch, and not a lot of time to watch it. But thanks, I appreciate. Some of these comments are off the hook. Jason says hello from South Carolina. What's up, Jason? What part of South Carolina? I haven't been there since. Man, it's been a long time. I think the last time I was there was when I went to Myrtle Beach for my high school senior trip. That is a long time ago. um, but I try to remember which. No, I have family in North Carolina, but yeah, I've been to South Carolina. Um, I have I have some friends or family down there, I believe. Don't forget Beverly Hills Ninja nonsense says that movie was funny. It, I mean, it was definitely vintage Chris Farley, right? And they had the guy who was in the first Mortal Kombat movie who played Liu Kang, right? I think. Guy said if you do cocaine, blink twice. I'm a pretty straight edge guy, so I don't do any drugs other than coffee, which I need to get some pretty soon because I love my coffee. And I actually have a thing in my description, a link in my description that actually lets people donate money to me to buy me a coffee. And it's literally called their Buy Me a Coffee. For some folks, they use it to say buy me a beer, but mine is buy me a coffee because I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. My only vice is fast food and coffee. I'm an athlete, so sorry. And I'm not Roy Jones Jr., so let me try to get your name right, sir. No one can know the one with the long name. One the Force, one one Kenobi one. So I'm guessing you're a Star Trek guy, right? And you said the word darkness can only be read using the light. So if we are going on Star Wars references, so obviously the Force, which is in two parts, you have the cosmic force and the living force. Within that, there's no distinction between the lightness and the darkness. The lightness and the darkness is how it is, how those aspects of the force are utilized by people. So the problem with the darkness is it's destructive. Um, but force users who embrace the light, and yes, I'm getting geeky here. I've also like studied under people who are Jedi realists, which is a church that started I think in New Zealand, but now it's global. They're here in the U.S. now. They're called Jedi realists or the Jedi Church, whatever you want to call them. Um, the thing with that is, I think a light side, a force user who embraces the light would be remiss to not admit that you can't have the lightness without the darkness, but that doesn't mean you should embrace the darkness, just that you should understand that there can't be one without the other. Sorry to be geeky about that. May the fourth be with you. And I know it's the seventh, but still, we have no limits on that. Anime Edits says you have no Riz. You're absolutely right, because I'm not Gen Z Anime Edits. I'm Gen X, and we had swagger. And I'm sorry, we were cooler than you guys. I gear matched when we went outside. Like, we got a haircut. We didn't think it was being cool being junkies. So, whatever. And at my age, I don't need to have Riz. I'm married. Who am I trying to prove? My wife is satisfied in more ways than one. And, you know, I catch flights, not feelings. So, you can keep the Riz here in the US if that's going to help you get some. I don't need it. uh, dude, wow, some people saying some mad, crazy stuff in the in the chat. What's your sport? So, like I said, my sport is martial arts. But I'm also an amateur runner. I run every day. I run 10 kilometers every day at the minimum. Usually, I try to run twice a day if I can. I'll do a shorter, faster run where I'll wear my running tactical vest, which is like 20 pounds weight, and do like maybe 1.5 to 2 miles in it. Um, so I'll do that, do my martial arts. I don't have much equipment here in my home here in Baltimore, so I'll usually just shadow box or do some drills with my weapons, typically my Kali sticks. I have them around here somewhere in my duffel bag, or I have my nunchaku. I have a boken. Boken is like a wooden katana. I have a 6 foot bow staff. I have sai. I have a bunch of EDC weapons or everyday carry weapons I can keep on me when I go places. And I may or may not have some firearms. Do you, Herda? I'm sorry. Can you rephrase that question? Because I don't understand what you're trying to say. You're saying something about something in these streets. I can't. But it's not grammatical. So I'm not trying to be funny. I was just saying, can you rephrase the question? Because I don't understand. Aquafunk says, I love messing with Star Wars people. I like saying Darth Vader. Oh, Dark Vader. LOL, they hate that. Only those who don't have any sense of humor. I'm a Star Wars guy. Like I said in my stream 3 days ago, I'm literally a Star Wars guy because I was born the year that Star Wars came out, 1977. So literally a Star Wars guy. Literally. I was born like matter of fact, the generation that I'm from is called the Star Wars generation. Everyone born from 1977 to 1983, because that's when the three movies of the original trilogy came out: 1977, 1980, and 1983. These folks are also called Xennials because they are a micro hybrid generation between the generation X and millennials. So they call it Zennials or Star Wars generation. So I'm literally a Star Wars guy. I have complete humor about it. Like, um, I've been watching, like, I've probably seen more things that make fun of Star Wars than Star Wars itself. Like, even in the 80s, they had a complete, Mel Brooks did a whole movie spoofing Star Wars called Spaceballs. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's hilarious. It's a little bit dated now because all the humor is from stuff from the 80s. Um, but it was spoofed with the blessing of George Lucas. The only thing he told Mel Brooks to do was to not make any merch for the movie because a lot of George Lucas money from that franchise he did from merchandising rights that he got from 20th Century Fox. Um, and it's funny you said Dark Vader because originally people thought that Darth was another way of just saying dark, um, but it's not, as far as I know. Oh, you're from Germany, Curtis. What's up? I've been to Germany while I was in training in the army. A few places, like Frankfurt, Mannheim, um, a bunch of places there. Really enjoyed Germany. The women are lovely. I like some of the food. Love Wiener Schnitzel. So yeah, I actually do plan on going back to Germany, but this time as a civilian, I'm gonna bring my wife with me so she can experience Europe. And we'll probably, explore Germany and then go from there to like say like the Netherlands and France and so forth. But what's up? Guten Tag. Yeah, Aquafunk says 77. Yeah, I got you. Year one Gen X. So Gen X started in 65. I'm at the very end of Gen X, 77. So yeah. So I claim the title. Sabatak says hi. What's up, Sabatak? Aquafunk says LOL. The cone the deserve. What's that? I'm not sure. But yeah, can you guys hear the Star Wars music in the background? I made it kind of subtle, so like I said, this doesn't get like a strike once I post it. Because right now it can fly while it's live streaming, but if I try to post it, it'll get like a copyright strike. So I'm not trying to get there because I'm yay close to being monetized. And like I said, I have a few surprises once I get monetized. I'm gonna let Mrs. Contrarian, the wife, put some. I'm gonna have some content with her and it like front, like fully showing her. Like I've shown little snippets of her doing things like at the summit of the highest mountain in the Philippines, Mount Apo, or of her going to the beach with family and friends, or of her at a concert movie for Taylor Swift do the helicopter. The kick or the dance? I'm not sure what you mean, Jonah. And I'm inside. I don't have if you don't talk about the helicopter kick, I cannot do that here in my little man cave here. I don't have the space to do that. I'm gonna hit my head on the fan. It won't be pretty, and I'm gonna have people thinking something's falling from the roof because they're gonna hear me jumping. um, I might do some taekwondo tricking one day outside, just to show people that the kids still got it. And the helicopter kick is my favorite kick. But again, if you're talking about a dance, I'm not sure what you're talking about. um, if there's no other questions, I'm probably going to end this in a few minutes. Like I said, I think I gave a lot of background about my martial arts experience. Like I said, I started training when I was 7 because my parents wanted me to learn how to defend myself because I was a tiny kid. They also wanted me to learn how to swim, so I still utilize that to this day because let's face it, a lot of black people, especially who grew up in like inner cities or low middle income neighborhoods, probably didn't learn how to swim, or at least until they were adults, if ever. So I had both of those in the bag, which is a good thing. But it actually made me want to learn more martial arts, so I went on to do so. through Taekwondo when I was 13 and learning some rudimentary skills from other arts while I was a teenager. Then by the time I was about 21, started doing Jikundo and learning some Thai boxing and other things, and boxing, of course. And then by the time I hit my 30s, I was actually going overseas and learning like the arts in those and then countries from which they originated. That's another reason. Like if I do go to Germany and I go to Europe, I want to learn the martial arts there. A lot of for folks who don't know, Europe has martial arts. Martial arts is not just Asia or East Asia. Um, it's martial arts is everywhere because in every civilization there was wars, which meant people needed to learn how to fight. The traditional martial art of Europe is called HEMA, or historically European martial arts. So it can trace its lineage back to medieval Europe. You didn't miss anything, Aqua. I was just saying I'm gonna wrap this up in case um, there's no other questions. I was asking though what you meant by saying comb the deserve. I didn't get that. But back to what I was saying. So yeah, I want to go to Europe and learn some of their martial arts. So in France, I want to learn savate. I know a little bit of savate here through Jikundo, but I want to learn like the actual savate. Savate, for folks who don't know, is called French. It's called well, it's French kickboxing, and it's also sometimes referred to as la boxing française. It originated on the streets of Paris and Marseille. What's up, Hunter? So it's pretty effective as a kickboxing style. In Jikundo, one of the instructors actually blended these arts and made it Jikundo kickboxing, which is a mixture of savate, Muay Thai, and Kali, and called it, I think, called it STK or something like that. I think it's called STK, but it's Jikundo kickboxing, which is something that I do. But I would like to go learn savate in France itself. In Germany, I would like to learn HEMA or German fencing. I also like to learn traditional fencing, say like in France or Italy. I'm not sure what martial art will be in Netherlands, but probably HEMA. Oh, actually no, Dutch kickboxing. Yeah, so Dutch kickboxing is really just a variant of Muay Thai. STK more like STD. Nah, it's a type of hybrid kickboxing style, JG, which utilizes savate, Muay Thai, and Kali. Kali being the Philippine martial arts. All right, you're on some BS. So, in any case, I'm gonna wrap this up if I'm not gonna get any other comments but trolls. Oh, comb the desert from Spaceball. Okay. So you're down. So you've watched Spaceballs. The biggest letdown about that movie is that they kept saying it was going to be a sequel and it never was, because there was so many meta jokes within the movie. So the meta joke within the movie was they were going to release a lot of merchandise, which was the exact thing that George Lucas said that you can't do. So that was an inside joke that people didn't know till after the fact. And then the other joke was that they were going to make a sequel to the movie, but I think it was always meant to be just a one-off. All right, bye, JG. I mean, I appreciate jokes, but you know, we have a mixed crowd, so I like to make it that it's appropriate for everyone. You know what I'm saying? So, in any case, um, unless you guys have any other questions about martial arts or maybe Star Wars or anything else, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'll give it like a a few seconds, because I know sometimes people might be typing in the midst of me saying something, so they might have been just about to say something and then not end the string. So I know that kind of sucks. Aquafunk says I lived in a little town called Schweinfurt, Germany when I was in the army. Schweinfurt. I'm not familiar with that. So were you were you stationed in Germany, or are you, or what do you mean as a German? That's where you, um, because I know in Germany that folks there have to do, I think, what, like 2 years of service when they graduate high school, right? I think like 2 years of either military service or community service, something like that. Is that what you mean, or were you an American station there? Because I thought you said that you're German yourself. Because I haven't heard of Schweinfurt. Um, Not like I said, I've talked about Germany a lot actually in previous videos. I was telling a friend in a previous video how much love Black people receive overseas, particularly in places like Germany. Um, like I said, oh, desenses was the topic. So there's no particular topic. This is Ask Me Anything, but I was saying I was focusing mainly on martial arts, or for folks who missed my stream 3 days ago, if they want to ask me something Star Wars or comic book related, they can ask me that, because I did a May the 4th live stream, but it was rather late in the day. Oh, yeah, Army Infantry. Okay. All right. So, 11 Bravo, right? And you're from Puerto Rico. Okay. I met a we trained with a Puerto Rican unit when I was a telephone and cable installer and maintainer. We met our counterparts from Puerto Rico, and we did like some cross training um long time back. They were cool as hell. Um, but that was here that was here in the U.S., not in Germany. In Germany, we just trained with some folks who were actually stationed out there, who weren't even part of uh, um, they weren't even part of what we did, which was signal corps. But and then and some most of them weren't even army. Like I was my senior enlisted officer that I met with while I was in training was in the Navy, and it was weird because I didn't know the ranking. Because I thought, because he had to tell us, he's like, my rank isn't sergeant, but he didn't tell us specifically how to address them. So we had to actually ask people how to address some of these naval NCOs. Oh, 11 Mike. Okay. Oh, you said I'm from Brooklyn, where all the Puerto Ricans come from. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 11 Mike. So what is 11? So I know the whole 11 series is combat, but what, I'm not sure, what is 11 Mike? 11 Mike, is that's not dealing with tanks, right? That's something completely different. I can't remember. But I know you're having fun in Germany. I miss it. To be honest, I wish I could go back as a serviceman instead of as a civilian. I remember the first. I've told this story a million times. I remember the first night we went out there. We went to the bar, and out of nowhere, they just started playing Michael Jackson. The whole the whole bar just started just just came to life, and everyone was dancing. Literally, this German dude just came up to me and said, "Hey, how are you doing? This is my girlfriend. Would you mind dancing with her? She really loves black guys." And I'm like, "All right, cool. That's what's up." So I just started dancing with her. I'm like, "Damn, it's like that." So, man, Germany was the spot. But for those who don't know, Germany's the spot. Germany is probably one of the places where passport bros originally started, I would have to say. Oh, Bradley's, but it's phased out now. Oh, okay. Um, I know when I came out in it's like around 2005. They had ended my MOS and combined it with something else because they did a whole. Well, you know how I guess around 2006 they they reassigned a whole bunch of the MOSs, but a lot of the ones which are like the traditional ones, like the 11 series and stuff like that, they didn't touch them from what I understood. So I didn't think they touched anything from the 11 series. I thought those were still the same. But yeah, um, yeah. But oh, anyway, back to Descent. Yeah. So if you want to ask anything, that's cool. Like I said, I'm mainly talking about martial arts, about Star Wars if you're a Star Wars fan, comic books if you're a comic book fan, because Comic Book Day and Star Wars Day fell on the same day on Sunday, May the 4th, and I wanted to talk about that. I'm also disappointed because I had planned on buying that True Moo Star Wars Blue Milk that was released for Star Wars Day. I still plan on getting some, but it's actually not in a store near me, so I have to actually go drive to the local Target. Excuse my little notifications, guys. Actually, yeah, Germany for young single GI is definitely paradise. I remember the first man. I remember the first brothel we went into. We didn't even realize it was a brothel. I thought it was just a regular bar. And then we look up at the TV screens and it's just porn. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then the girls come sit by us and they was like, you guys want to have a good time? I'm like, huh? What? That's how green we were. Like we literally didn't know we were in a brothel. And I think we were in the red light district in what's the name of that city? Starts with an L. I can't remember. But fuck, I can't remember. I'm sorry. King Von. Yeah, someone mentioned that a few days ago. Davon. Did he just pass away? Because I thought this was something that happened a while ago. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a GI's paradise. So the funny thing is, the NCO in charge at the time, he actually ordered us to take one of our soldiers back to the brothel and get him laid because he was becoming such a fucking like he was becoming so annoying. Like the NCO I see at the time was like, I'm gonna have to give this guy Article 15 if he don't chill the fuck out. He was like, y'all need to go get him laid, take him back to that brothel and get him some pussy. And I'm like, word? All right. So um it, I'm trying to remember if it was the exact same brothel or a different one. It might have been a different one, but I remember it was like several floors to this brothel we took him to, and I swear it was like internet. It was like an international flavor. Like almost every room was like different types of women. There was like Asian women, Ethiopian women, just plain white German women, Middle Eastern women. I'm like, whoa, okay. And one of my other friends, I think he solicited one of the ladies there too, but he ended up not doing anything because he was with his girl at the time. He didn't. She wasn't his wife, just his girlfriend. And I guess he felt guilty because he was telling me he was telling the girl, no, no, girlfriend, girlfriend. But the other guy, he did his thing, which was crazy because when we were downstairs chilling, it's like he came back like 5 or 10 minutes later. We was like, yo, you done already? And he was like, yeah. So apparently he was done, but he was happy. He didn't give us any more heartache that day or the last few days we were there. So apparently he got his whistle wet. But yeah, we were actually ordered to get this man laid before he ends up catching the Article 15. So yeah, it's crazy. Oh, okay. And I'm gonna get to everybody's questions, guys. Give me a sec. How old are you? Let's just say I'm in my mid 40s. Okay. But I literally just gave my birth year up earlier. 96 years old. Nah. 96. I mean, I know I need a shave, but that's stretching it. So Aquafunk says, I got a question for you. Favorite Star Wars character from all the movies, not Yoda. Easy, Luke Skywalker. that's that that was that was not hard at all. Like I literally have a bunch of Star Wars guys here. Like you know, if you check out my other videos, I've actually shown like a lot of my collectibles that I keep in a little man cave here. So right, yeah, that's not even a question. It's always been Luke Skywalker. So I don't. Is Yoda some people's favorite? I've never had the impression that Yoda was someone's favorite. I thought people's favorites was either like Luke, Han, maybe the two droids R2D2 and C3PO, um, maybe Chewbacca or Leia. But I never thought Yoda would be someone's favorite. But to each his own. Whoever they like, whoever they see themselves at through in Star Wars, that's fine with me. Even if it's Darth Vader. Oh, thank you, Devon. I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought he passed a long time ago. That's what was weird to me because I don't know if it was you, but someone else came on a previous live stream I did a few days ago and also said R.I.P. King Von, and I was like, I thought this dude, this guy had passed away, you know, quite a time, a time back, and I've hated that. Even if I don't listen to a lot of the rappers nowadays, which I definitely don't. I don't like seeing them dying. Like that's horrible because there's no coming back from that. At least it's not as far as we know. Not in this world. Cameron says, "How you doing today?" I'm doing well. About to go work out in a few minutes. I was just chewing the breeze with folks. Letting them ask me any questions about martial arts. So I if I haven't made clear, I am like a self defense coach, guys. So I do train people. I don't run a school because I don't want the hassle of maintaining and running a school. So I just train one on one. Sometimes I'll even train folks for free if I have a good relationship with them. But yeah, I do self defense coaching on the side since I've been training since I was 7. So that gives me like 30 plus years of experience in martial arts, and I've had to defend myself on the street a couple of times, which gives me that experience, unfortunately. And I, even at my age now, I still plan on maybe doing a little competition, but that's basically for the sake of credibility. I want to do it, not because I want to like become a prize fighter. So Aquafunk says, I've been to that in Frankfurt, right? Top floor was all African girls, and they were rough because nobody ever made up there. No, it wasn't in Frankfurt. It was in man, I can't. I'm sorry. We've been in so many cities that I can't remember it. It wasn't Mannheim. It was like I'm sorry. It wasn't Frankfurt though. I would have remembered if it was Frankfurt. Um, it was another city. It was fun. Like I said, we went to some clubs there. Um, and they loved us out there. The only time we ever got any hate was this one place. I think it was like a rave, and we were asking them, I think the price or something like that, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, great Americans," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, we don't have to stay here." But other than that, we got no hate. One girl did insult the military, but I didn't get offended. At least I didn't. One of the guys who was with us because he was former Marines and now he was with us in the Army. Because a lot of you're in the infantry, so I already know you probably you've come into a lot of former Marines that did a lateral transfer into the Army because they can do that without leaving out the service as an E4 gang. Like a lot of people don't want to leave out that E4. They want to get rank up to E5, maybe even 6, or even E6 before they leave. which I don't blame them. Um, and I remember the lady at the university, Heidelberg and Heidelberg Castle. You know, a lot of the students work at the castle as employees, and my friend there, Giz, walked into them while they were talking amongst each other. But apparently, she must have been talking in English, and she was like, said something about Marines and the Marines and Army are the two stupidest branches of the military. She said something like that. It was a German woman saying it, so he was offended. I wasn't offended because I'm like, well, it's kind of true, but I don't care. I mean, that's not going to offend me, but he was upset about it. But yeah, that was at Heidelberg, which was that was a nice area too. Anyway, so I'm not getting more comments. Oh, just well, as soon as I said that, hey, we don't know each other, but could you give me a good name for a female character in this book I'm writing? What is the book about? What's up, T size? Graceland, what is the book about? Maybe I could help. Or is there a particular ethnicity of the protagonist that you're writing? I mean, because there's literally like millions of names. Because if it's a particular ethnicity, you might want to concentrate on names that go with that ethnic background of your protagonist. Or if it's a specific genre or historical period, you might want to give a name that's pertinent to that. It's a fantasy book focusing. Oh, okay, okay. So, hmm. I mean, I don't want to give you something that someone else has used, but well, I mean, like you don't want to use like Zelda, of course, right? But I don't know, Marilyn. That's cool. Elizabeth. I know these are trite names. I'm just brainstorming. Um, there's so many names, especially in fantasy genre. Um, Jesselyn. It's, there's so many. You actually might want to look up common names for like the medieval period and maybe choose from that. Maybe even restrict it to a particular alphabet letter. That way you can make it fall within it. Like say if you just want something that starts with the letter A, like Annalyn or something, or Annabelle or Anne, anything like that. So, and if you want that character to relate to other characters by their names, then that's something also to look at how you could restrict what the names are. Because you know, like if you're talking about like a noble family, they're all going to have like similar names, of course, right? All right, okay, Aquafunk, man, I appreciate it. Chewing the fat with you, talking about Germany. Like I said, I miss it there. I am going to go back there, and I'm gonna bring the wife with me this time, so it won't be the debauchery that it was when I was a kid when I went there. But me and the wife can still have fun. So I appreciate it. Salute. Oh, you're welcome. Like I said, I wish I could give you more examples, but it's literally like thousands of names I could think right now that I wouldn't know what to tell you. Like I said, if your protagonist is like a noble or in a royal family, I would make it so that it's a name that can relate to other people's names who are also within the family, right? Because we know how the nobles were pretty incestuous. um, if it's a someone who's like a peasant or merchant, then the names probably aren't can be more variant. So that's what's up, Aquafunk. Take it easy out there, all right? Chicago says RuPaul, love you. Not RuPaul. Not not I'm not on the rainbow. Um, not knocking folks who are, but not on that rainbow. Not as rich as that dude. Not as tall or as fat as that dude. So, am I black? Yeah, I'm black. I've literally done streams on that, guys. So, after the live stream, please, check out my previous videos. I talk pretty strongly about stuff dealing with like what is and what isn't black. Like I've literally had whole videos on that. Oh, you're colorblind. I see. Well, even if you can't see color, you can see like um the features, right? The certain features that I have that will clue you in that I'm Black American. Chicago West is on some freak ball stuff. Are you from Chicago? Second favorite vegetable. Second favorite. You gotta give first favorite vegetable before a second favorite, right? Um, and then I'm not sure what counts as a vegetable and what isn't because some things they'll say that's not a vegetable, that's a root. I didn't know roots were separate from vegetables, and I don't know the distinction. And then grains, I thought grains were vegetables too, but apparently grains aren't vegetables. So I don't know. Maybe kale. And I'm not saying kale because I'm a hipster or something. Black people were eating kale generations before hipsters started. So I don't want people to be like, "Oh, you just saying that because you're some sort of hipster." No, we I've been eating kale since the '80s. So not a hipster. Yeah, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore right now. I did live in Chicago, well, in Cook County as a kid, but I'm from the East Coast. All right, Graceland, good luck with your book. Um, Next time on the live stream, if you can jump on, tell me how it's going. All right, thanks. Thanks, Imran. So, all right, guys, I'm about to wrap it up because I'm getting a lot of random stuff now. Like I said, I don't mind because, like I said, literally you can ask me anything on the stream. But I wanted to talk about martial arts for folks who were interested, and a few people early in the stream were asking me some genuine questions about martial arts. I had a guy who told me because he had an elongated spine, he had some mobility issues, and was wondering whether he could do martial arts. And I told him absolutely. Um, because there's literally hundreds of martial arts styles, you can find a martial art to cater to almost any sort of restriction that people have. But I told him, like look into maybe like a grappling style because I think that would probably do better than a striking style for someone who has an elongated spine. I think the submission grappling would probably be better to his or her capabilities, right? Um, I had someone else asking me about like what's effective art and stuff like that, and I told them basically modern combat sports are the most effective when it comes to fighting and competition, which is going to be your boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and wrestling. Then people were asking me about traditional arts like Kung Fu and Tai Chi, and I said they're great arts to learn if you're just learning it for the aesthetics or for the tradition, but not so much for the effectiveness. And that pretty much wraps it up. Chicago West was asking me, saying Baltimore is a great place to visit. That's subjective. I personally hate the city, but that's my own personal bias. Is if you think Chicago is bad, think all the problems of Chicago, but condensed into a smaller space. That is Baltimore, right? So, and we have a huge fentanyl problem here. We have an open drug market downtown. Um, but okay, so I won't tell people not to visit Baltimore. What I'll just say is, you know, be careful when you come out here. I mean, most people when they do come to Baltimore, they usually visit the harbor, which is a cool place to visit. Um, or if you go to Baltimore, you might as well shoot out to DC, which is like 45 minutes away, or an hour depending on the drive. But Baltimore can be okay. Usually, the biggest time we got people like tourists out here was like we had a big anime convention out here called Otakon, but it was moved to DC because DC can hold a larger venue than Baltimore could. We also have the Baltimore Comic Con, which is pretty big for the city size that we have. It's not going to compare to like New York Comic Con, which is the largest on the East Coast, and this and actually in the last few years has been larger than San Diego Comic Con by the numbers. So, but it's not as big as New York Comic Con, but it still gets a lot of talent there. It's a lot of fun. So those are pretty. Those are times when we get a lot of tourists, and I think we've had the Grand Prix here several times, um, and some other events, of course. So I love the difference in culture between Chicago and Baltimore, and even in New York. It's close to Baltimore. It's still different. My favorite place to go though is Savannah, Georgia. I haven't been to Savannah, Georgia. I've been I've been in Georgia because I trained there at Fort Gordon when I was in the army, but I haven't been to Savannah. New York, I don't consider it close. That's like for us, that's like what 3.5 hours away. To me, that's too far. But I know people down south, like a 3.5 hour to drive to them is nothing. But here, that's too far. I gotta fly there because I'm not anything farther than going to New Jersey. It's too far. And when I say Jersey, I'm not talking about North Jersey. I'm talking about like Princeton, Jersey, where I have family. Anything on that is too far a drive, and that's still about that might be three 3 hours. So this man talking out the side of his neck is going to get his wig split. I don't know if you're referring to me or if you're referring to someone in the comment section. So I've been as a cakewalk compared. You don't know Baltimore then, bro. And I don't want to get into a pissing contest between who has the worst city, but literally Baltimore has been in the top five of number like and Chicago's been in the top five and top 10 as well, but literally since like I don't know the 80s and 90s, Baltimore has been in the top five of murder capitals in the city. I mean in the country and worldwide, not just so not just in the United States but worldwide. Baltimore has been in like the top 10, top 20. In the country, it's been in like the top five. And I know in the 90s, between it used to be between like DC, DC, Baltimore, Philly, um, New York was up there back in the 80s and 90s. Um, Different places in New Jersey and places, of course, in the Midwest like Gary, Indiana, Cleveland, Ohio, Chicago, Detroit. Um, Chicago is still bad, but it's not as bad as Baltimore is. And remember, like I said, you gotta think of all that violence condensed into a smaller spot. That makes it worse because you're talking about more violence per capita, right? So that's what makes it worse. But like again, I'm not trying to say it's not bad there, and that I would want to walk around bad parts of Chicago either. I mean, at least they got rid of Cabrini Green back in the day, right? And I think when I moved out of Illinois, when they closed down Cabrini Green, a lot of those people got pushed out into parts of Cook County where I live, like Crete and University Park. Locust Frog says, "What do I cosplay as?" I don't cosplay. I have a Starfleet uniform because again, I'm a nerd. So I do have a Star Trek Next Generation Starfleet uniform, but I've never cosplayed when I've gone to conventions. I just don't have that confidence, nor do I have the ability to create a good costume to wear. I'm going to wear something that I can just buy from the comic book store and do that. But I have not cosplayed. Like usually, the usual thing I wear to a convention is like a Batman T-shirt. The funny thing is, people will still take my pictures when I'm wearing a Batman T-shirt because, unlike most comic book nerds, I'm actually physically fit. So it looks so just the fact that I have muscles and I wear the Batman T-shirt, it looks like I'm cosplaying, which I'm really not. I'm just going as myself. A matter of fact, there was even a comic book store I used to go to all the time over in East Baltimore, and they were willing to actually pay me to cosplay as the Green Lantern, the Black Green Lantern, John Stewart. I never got to do it, but I would have been willing to do it. Like if kids would have thought I looked cool as John Stewart, that would have been great, and they would have just paid me by letting me like get as many getting a bunch of free comic books and graphic novels. That's cool with me. You have a summer home in Maine. Okay, that's what's up. Um, is Maine more? I mean, Maine is the East Coast, but it sounds like it's way more affordable than most of the East Coast, like compared to Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Maryland. Maryland is insanely expensive. Philadelphia, I mean, well, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is actually not as expensive as Maryland or New York or New Jersey. But I would think Maine, like places like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe even Rhode Island are probably more affordable for the average person, right? Rock of the Maine. Okay, okay. I'm not familiar with it, but like I said, if it's not within the New York tri-state area, or the BW area, the Baltimore Washington area, is probably better than it's probably a better place to live. So I'm definitely not going to raise kids in this area where I currently am. Are you a vendor at the convention? No, I just go there. I just go there to have fun. I've never I've never taken part in anything. Just as I just go there as a fan. I meant a cakewalk, as in to be aware of my surroundings. Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. Focus Frog says that's cool, dude. If you wear the Star Trek uniform, that would be nice. I would definitely rock it. Like I remember the only time I was planning on cosplaying. So my friend, we were gonna like cosplay as the characters from The Last Dragon. I was gonna be Bruce Leroy and had the yellow Bruce Lee outfit, and he was gonna be Shona. But I told him he plus he had the dread, so he could just like twist it up and look like Shona, and just get the football the football shoulder pads and all that. But I told him, he had to get a little bit more physically fit to play that role, because to play the role, you're gonna have to have that stomach out. So you're gonna want to have that looking tight if you were to cosplay, because you don't want to cosplay as show enough, with a gut. That would mess it up a little bit. I mean, I would be fine on my side, but if we were gonna do it as a team, you know, but we never did end up doing it. The Reading Rainbow guy, LeVar Burton. I would do it. You mean so playing LeVar Burton as himself, or playing LeVar Burton as Lieutenant LaForge? Because I could do that. Get the visors right, and in the movies, in the last Star Wars generation, sorry, not Star Wars, Star Trek generation movies, he actually did get his sight, and then I think he still has his sight in Picard, in that TV show Picard. Depends on what area. So, I own Price Ocean from I own oceanfront property worth about, wow, 5.1 million in Cali. What I have in Maine would be worth at least 50 million. Really? If that's true, that's nice. I want to be like you when I grow up. I I have some property overseas, but that's because it's very inexpensive overseas as opposed to here. I cannot afford to buy property here in Baltimore. Well, I probably could if I wanted to get utilize my VA home loan, but not interested. Unless and plus I don't think you can use a VA home loan for an investment property. Although I've talked with folks and basically they just said you don't let them know you're going to make it as an investment property, but we'll see about that. But I'm not planning on buying any property anytime soon. But that's what's up. Do I have any videos on how I work out and get diesel? So I do have a few like miniature videos of me from a long time ago doing some training, but it wasn't really about me, about my fitness. I actually did say that I was gonna make a few videos with of me actually working out. Well, I was gonna do a video on a some basic Muay Thai for fitness, not for not for competition, not for self defense, but so not for fighters, but some basic Muay Thai moves just for people to stay fit. I am still planning on doing that. Um, and I might do some other fitness stuff because usually any of the training videos I wanted to do was stuff I was going to give to my wife. So the Muay Thai video was something I originally did with my wife, like showing her some moves. And I asked her, should that be something I actually make a video out of? She said yes. So I am planning on doing that. It's just been a long time coming. And I was showing like some stomach exercise, like doing that too if people are interested. Thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate it a lot. But like if so, I do have different categories in my channel. If you look up martial arts training, you'll see a few videos of me like doing there's some of me doing Muay Thai over in Pattaya, Thailand. There's a video of me doing like some JKD and just messing around at the gym here. I used to train about 10 years ago in Baltimore. The mine used to have a actually just in the store. So we did some stuff there, and he used to have little seminars. He would actually a Kyokushin guy come out. We had a Jikondo guy come out, and into Vegas. But I've done a few videos this on my in that in that category as well. And I have one with me training in Bali doing Salat, and I think that's it. I had all right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Excuse me. I appreciate it a lot, Lucas Frog. And again, I'll let people know when I put up some new training videos as well. Appreciate it. All right, guys. If there's no other questions, appreciate you also, Chicago West. I'm going to end this live stream, and it will be posted later once it uploads. But even after this goes off, you can still ask questions in the comment section. I'll catch those comments, and I can respond to them. So if there's anything genuine, of course I'll definitely respond to them. But I think that's a wrap. All right. Take care, guys.